Hey folks, it's your girl Lexi Mahari back with another episode of Buzzworthy Chit Chat, and in this episode we are going to be talking about Kandi and the Gang's premiere. But before we get started, let me just remind you to take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can be made aware every time I upload a video. Well folks, after a week off, I am back to give my thoughts and opinions around Kandi and the Gang's premiere from this past weekend. There is a lot of buzz out there around social media giving their opinions about whether or not this first episode was a success or a failure. The ratings, that is all everyone is talking about when it comes to Kandi and the Gang. Of course, people are comparing it to Porsha's Family Matters, which is only natural, right? We're dealing with two housewives of Atlanta. We have two people who at one time had a beef and they kind of have an up and down relationship. And so it's only natural that fans are going to compare, which show is better. I have a few thoughts about that, right? And why it is Porsha's initial episode was rated higher than Kandi's. First of all, let's talk about the lead-in for Porsha's Family Matters. Porsha's show premiered on the heels of the Housewives of Potomac's reunion show. And we all know that RHOP was in fact one of the higher rated, or, if not the highest rated, I think it was actually second compared to what was going on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But it was, let's just say this, it was among the top rated reality shows for Bravo Network. So ultimately, Porsha's show premiered on the heels of what was, yet another pretty good season for RHOP. Additionally, I think Porsha, at least at that time, probably had a little more exposure than Kandi. Yes, Kandi has her diehard fans, and I am one of those diehard fans, but I think Porsha honestly had more exposure coming into the show just due to all the things that she was involved in. She was in the Bravo chat room. Of course, she had Dish Nation. I just think she was perhaps a little more popular than Kandi was or is for her lead-in to her show. Now, don't come for me in the comments. I'm just saying that's what I believe is a factor. Additionally, Porsha had Scandal. Yes, Kandi has had a few bad restaurant ratings, but there's nothing like a scandal associated with a marriage and the woman who is being blamed for breaking it up having a reality show. The show, as you heard me talk about in one of my reviews, the show initially for Porsha was supposed to be about her involvement, her family's involvement in civil rights, the journey she was on, when she was, out there in the streets protesting for Breonna Taylor. It was really supposed to focus on that. But obviously, with the scandal that unfolded with Simon Guobadia and Fallon, and then here's Porsha posting pictures on Instagram, the show took a completely different direction, and therefore you had the allure of the scandal, the desire to see whether or not this relationship was real. And so Kandi's show, on the other hand, is about a restaurant that has been open now for a few years. So what might have been a little more interesting at the time that it was happening is probably not so interesting to folks. Let's just be real about that. For some of us viewers, we're tuning in because we like Kandi. We're tuning in because we want to get a sense of, who's working at this restaurant, why potentially her restaurants are getting such lower ratings. We want to understand, what's happening behind the scenes, and we're finally, getting that opportunity to see it because, again, this restaurant has been around for a few years. So honestly, I don't think Kandi had the formula to reel in the viewers for this initial episode. Now, I think if some drama truly begins to unfold, some of the ratchet reality type of events start to unfold, then yes, she will pull in the viewers. I think there were just a lot of factors leading into why the show did not rate well. However, what I will say is that I liked the show. I thought it was a great premiere, honestly. Gave us some, kind of laid the foundation for some of the personalities that are there, who was there, who has left, who wants to come back. Which brings me back to my original point, right? That this would have been a great show to have as Kandi and Todd were actually hiring people, for us to see that process and then to see how well that actually worked out for them. Because clearly they've had a lot of people leave for a variety of reasons. Some of it, I think we're seeing some common themes of things that have come up in the past for Kandi. You have the one guy who said that he started out as just I forget if he was a bartender or what, but he had like one job, and then his one job ballooned into two or three jobs, including being an event planner. And I think so for some people that can be a lot, right? So it would have been good to maybe see how that was unfolding back when, right? When it was all happening. So we've got things that have happened in the past, and then we're dealing with things that are happening in the present. And, I think the standout person or staff at the old lady in the gang was Chandrika, who is the hostess. She's the person who welcomes the folks in, and I think she's responsible for helping to get them seated. So she obviously is the standout from that first episode because she has some drama with her. She has been there for the longest. I think Kandi said she's the one who's been there for all 4 years. And I think if you Watch What Happens Live, she is the one apparently who is wheeling in some of the not so great reviews for the old lady gangs. So for viewers, Chandrika was the drama for the show, right? She is the quote unquote bad employee with a bad attitude, right? We see her character flaws, so to speak. She's being accused of being late for work. Her edits, at least, portray her as having a negative attitude and clearly not ready for change. Some of the common things that we bump into with employees in the workplace. And so we can clearly see that she is going to be problematic. The question is, how problematic will she be? I think some character flaws for Kandi came through. Now, let me say this. I respect Kandi's hustle. She clearly has a clue about something, of what she's doing, and Todd has maybe even added to her her hustle, her game, right? But her character flaw is she is loyal to a fault, right? And again, these are things that we've seen in her over the years. She was loyal to Kim Zolciak to a fault, right? And I think this is what we see even in her business. She may be loyal to some people that she shouldn't be to a fault, and even at the detriment of her business. Now, can we talk about Todd and the lazy response about getting a generator? One of the things that came up in the episode that everyone is talking about, I know for me, I was sitting there with my mouth open, is the fact that apparently Old Lady Gang is in an area of Atlanta in which power supply tends to run out, goes down from time to time. And I was just surprised. I was stunned when Todd made the excuse for not getting a generator put in because he didn't want to have to deal with basically the paperwork that's involved and the time it takes. And it's like, dude, can you take off 2 days to go get the freaking paperwork in place so that they can put the generator in? You're losing money. Like, all I could think was money is being lost. I could hear the cha-ching in my head of the amount of money they're losing. And unfortunately, with power outages, you can't predict the day that it's going to go out, right? So, you heard Kandi say that Saturdays are their business days. That's when they make their money. And so the thought that you're losing power for an hour or two, that could add up over time. That's money they're losing. So for me, that was like a moment of frustration and kind of the puppy dog head tilt to the side when he said, or gave his rationale for not putting in a generator. It's like, dude, go get the generator. Or, don't you have assistants who could get you the paperwork? You could fill it out, and then all you got to do is go down there, So again, that was frustrating for me to hear that excuse. And I really hope that by the end of the season or something, they'll say that they got a generator. I don't know. I don't know if I would count on it, though. So the other great highlight of it obviously was Kandi's aunts. It's always funny to see them. They all have their own personality, and it's interesting to watch Mama Joyce around them sometimes. I find her to be quiet sometimes, unless there's something going on with Kandi that has her kind of in a tiff at that moment. I think they are a much needed asset to the show because they're going to give us the real, much like Kandi. Kandi speaks what's on her mind a lot of times. So I know there are some people who are calling it boring, or they didn't felt like there wasn't enough in the first episode to make them want to come back. But true reality TV doesn't always start with the first episode hosting a throwdown, right, between people fighting, or cutting beneath the belt, cutting low, or just ripping people to shreds. It transpires over time, right? There's a lead up. Usually we don't always get the drama trauma throwdown in the first episode. So for me it was okay. I'm holding out full appreciation for the show, maybe for another few episodes, just to see how this is going to unfold, particularly the drama between Chandrika and Philip. I'm team Philip. I know I might be in the minority of that, but the attitude, that was just too much. And I think he is needed for Kandi. She needs the Kandi and Todd, I should say, in general, although I think Todd is on board with Philip. Kandi may not be so much, as we'll see in future episodes, but you kind of need that person who's going to come in objectively and clean house. And it may mean having to say goodbye to people you like as a person, but they're not helping you business wise to get the job done. So I don't think Philip is going to make it though, but we'll see. Maybe he will. I have not watched Candice speak on it just yet, so maybe we'll learn more about that there, or I will learn more. You may already know. But yeah, I liked Philip personally. I think he's needed. He clearly knows what he's doing in the restaurant game. He's got a background in it. When the power went out, there were a lot of little golden nuggets he threw out there about things that they should have had in place to support those situations. Again, particularly since it's happened more than once. He was rattling off all kinds of things. Like he said, the manual card reader and all that kind of stuff. Like, there should be a way for your customers to pay and get out of there, rather than expecting them to sit in the restaurant and in the heat, mind you, without going. So those are my thoughts for Kandi and the Gang. Are you gonna watch? Let me know down in the comments. And meanwhile, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next video.